Well, we're not. I was gonna, no, we can promote it, I think.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the news briefing for this Wednesday. We decided to go ahead with our COVID-19 information because we had some requests. And then I have some storm information that I can share with you and then take some questions as best I can. And if I can't answer them, I will work on getting them answered for you. So we're going to go ahead and start with Dr. Moreno. For those of you who have questions for Dr. Moreno, please go ahead and put them in the chat. And good afternoon, Dr. Moreno.
Hi, Mia. Good afternoon.
So let me go ahead and pull up the chat. And here's your question, Dr. Moreno. Has RSV peaked in Monterey County? Has flu started to decrease in the county? And is COVID-19 trending upwards?
So thanks, Mia. So thanks for the question. Again, we don't collect comprehensive data on RSV or influenza here in Monterey County or in California for that matter. So what I can say is that any information about hospitalizations, I would say on RSV or influenza would probably better asked of the hospitals and ask what their current status is. In terms of the COVID, I would say that our, generally speaking, our COVID case rate is fairly stable. Our positivity rate is fairly stable, and it seems that our hospital census for COVID is stable as well.
Maya, you're on mute.
Well, of course I am. Thank you very much. Sorry about that, everyone. Next question for you. The COVID-19 Omicron subvariants BQ.1.1 and BQ.1 now dominate in the region that includes California. Could one surmise that those subvariants are more easily transmissible and able to evade protection from vaccination or previous infection?
Thanks, Mia. So anything that we do have, we about information about different subvariants, we get through the the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So what we know is that these are the dominant variants at this time in California, and that they're still transmissible and they're still causing COVID illness here in Monterey County. So. And in addition, what we know is that so far, regardless of which variant or subvariant that is circulating in Monterey County and in California, the best way to protect yourself from getting COVID-19 and preventing serious illness is to get the COVID vaccine. Again, regardless of which variant we've had thus far and currently have. So my recommendation is for anyone who wants to avoid getting sick with COVID or spreading COVID to people that you know or live with that could get seriously ill from COVID, I recommend that people get fully vaccinated and then get their bivalent booster when they're eligible.
Thank you. And then this may have been part of the first question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it as a secondary question. What is Monterey County Public Health's main COVID-19 concern right now?
I think that we in public health continue to provide the same message that we've been providing for some time now, and that is that people should take advantage of the bivalent boosters that are out there. The bivalent boosters do provide protection against serious illness, hospitalization, and death. And so I think that the most important thing that anyone can do right now is to, if they're eligible, is to get vaccinated with one of the available bivalent boosters.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Any other questions for Dr. Moreno for today? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Dr. Moreno, for joining us today and keeping us up to date on COVID-19.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to go ahead and we have We have a little bit of storm information for you, but I first want to have Marnie Flagg from our Environmental Health Bureau from the Health Department on, because many people are seeing orders changing from orders to warnings and then from warnings to be lifted. And so when the warnings are lifted, residents are able to go home. Well, actually, when the orders are lifted, residents are able to go back into the warning zones. So there are things that people should know when it's their time to go back home. So Marnie is here to walk us through some of the safety measures that people should be looking at. Hi, Marnie.
Hi, Maya. Good afternoon, everyone. In this unfortunate time, we know how stressful it is when you have to leave your home and when you have to come back. So we do have some tips and advice for everyone to be mindful of when you do go back. And there's a couple of different scenarios that I did want to go over. The first one being that you are in a warning zone or an evacuation zone, but there was no flooding to your home. The first thing we want to point out is that if you're on a well, you may want to boil your water. If you're concerned about your water quality at all, take that precaution, use bottled water, and boil for cooking if your water quality allows you to do that. Best case and safest thing to do is, of course, just use bottled water. Our Drinking Water Protection Services unit is offering vouchers for testing, and we will be open for questions. If you have any uncertainties at all, feel free to give our Bureau a call. The more serious aspect to flooding is if your home did flood and you are going back, re-entry, at that point, you do not want to use your water at all until it's tested thoroughly for chemicals and bacteria. If the well was inundated with water, your infrastructure at all was touched with flood water, you really want to be cautious about that. And also folks that are on septic systems, if you did flood, most likely your septic system has flooded as well. And you do not want to use a flooded septic system because that can contribute to even more contamination for the area. So those are things to be aware of. If you are on a septic system and have any questions, we do have our land use department that is open and available for any questions and to assist you in anything you might have. Food in your home, anything that's been touched by flood water is considered contaminated, even canned goods. So you will need to dispose of all food items in your home at that time and clean and sanitize with bleach. And we do have, of course, our Consumer Protection Services program that can answer any questions regarding that process that you would need to go through. And as you begin cleanup, you always want to be concerned about mold and other items that can result from floodwaters breaching into your house. And any disaster cleanup service and the Environmental Health Bureau is here to answer all of your questions. But these are things that we just want you to be mindful of as you re-enter, to keep you safe and to keep you healthy when you're going through such an emotional time.
And the measures that you're telling people about, these really do come into play for the areas that have been impacted, because many of them are in communities with their own septic or their own well, or, a variety of scenarios that would fit these situations.
Exactly. A lot of folks in Carmel Valley, along the river, and even in Carmel along Highway 1, they are on septic systems. And so if you have any doubt if water's infiltrated your system, give a call to a licensed professional. Don't try to do things on your own. Septic tanks can be very dangerous if they're compromised.
Thank you very much. So Marnie is available to answer questions if anyone has any questions for her about returning home or about safety precautions. I am not seeing any questions coming in for you, but if someone does have any questions, you can certainly email me and I can forward these questions to you. Are there flyers or things that will be going out that people can kind of use as, kind of a roadmap of what they should do?
Definitely, Maya. That's a great question. Our website is up to date with all of the tips and things that I've gone over. We also will be pushing out all of this information on our social media sites for anyone to look at. It has all of our phone numbers and our contact information, and any one of us here at the Bureau is here to help anyone that has any questions.
Thank you very much, Marty, for coming on today on short notice and sharing this really important information for residents.
Thank you.
And we also have Nicholas Pasculi, who is our communications director, who is at the Emergency Operations Center. And I think he's got some information to share with us. I see him there. Hi, Nick. You're on mute. There you go.
Good afternoon, May, and good afternoon, everyone. We appreciate you being on the call today. So what I can tell you right now is that all the existing, can you hear me, Maya?
Yes.
Okay. All the existing orders and warnings that are in place will remain in place until further notice. What's really important is that people heed these warnings and orders. They are for people's public safety and the safety of their loved ones and the safety of their property and of their pets. Additionally, with traffic, with water conditions being what they might be on the roads, when you see a road closed sign, please do not go through those road closures. Those are there for public safety as well. I can tell you that everybody here is working very, very hard around the clock to ensure the safety of the people of Monterey County. And so we would appreciate patience from our residents as we navigate this situation together. I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you might have, Maya, that I have information at this time.
Thank you, Nick. And I've got a little additional information additionally to share, and then I think we could.
Maya?
No, I don't seem to be on mute. Can you hear me?
We lost audio.
Okay, so that's our other colleague. Nellie, you can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so Nick, it's a little crazy in there where Nick is right now. He might not be able to hear me. So let me share some additional information, and then we can take whatever questions we're able to answer or take questions back. So I wanted to share with you our current emergency operations page, which I don't seem to have at the moment, but let me pull that one. Let me pull that up for you, because we retooled some of the look of the evacuation information for people. So for everyone who needs information about the storm, whether it's road closure, shelter information, we have an Office of Emergency Services winter storm webpage that covers this particular event. And people have been going to this page to look at the current situation and alerts, warnings, and orders so that they can get a sense of how this might be affecting them. So we reorganized today, the hardworking staff there reorganized the evacuation order and warning section by area of the county. So you can see what orders are in place in West County, North County, the Salinas Valley, then the warnings for West County and the Salinas area, and then the Salinas Valley, and then where evacuations are lifted. We also continue to update this page with evacuation shelter information, with temporary evacuation shelter information. So please utilize this page as a resource for information that you might need. So, and as Nick said, the current orders and warnings are going to remain in place at least through this evening. And, what tomorrow brings, we're not exactly sure just yet. A lot of people have asked about the Carmel River evacuation area. So the EOC's damage assessment teams are out in the Carmel River evacuation zones. That is happening today. They are assessing the risk to public health and safety. The teams include our public works staff, our housing and community development permitting staff, environmental health, as you just heard from Marnie. Her colleagues will be in this zone. We have Caltrans, Regional Fire and Cal Fire and PG&E crews all walking through this Carmel River evacuation zone. This work is expected, they say, to take several days. We know at least today. Residents will be notified when the zones are lifted, and they will get that alert. They get that notification through the Alert Monterey County system. So what are they looking for? So they're looking at road safety, down trees, down power lines, bridges and road safety, impacts to sewage and water systems, the importance of that Marnie just talked about, residential structural integrity or damages, and also any hazardous materials or debris that may have gone into the river or been moved by floodwaters. So that we know that's an area of concern. We know that residents are anxious to go home, but we wanted to let you know what is happening today in that area. And so we want to get that area walked through so that residents can go home and that it's safe for them to do so. And in the chat, Nellie, my colleague, was kind enough to put the link to this winter storm page. Karen, I'm wondering if you could put the short URL in the chat too, so people can utilize that if they wish. And I'm hoping, and if it's not in the chat, we'll send it by email to all those who are participating today. Yeah. So that is the information that I have on the Carmel River area. If there are any questions about any other areas, please go ahead and put them in the chat, or you can email me and we can try to do our best to have our EOC staff answer questions that you might have.
Yes, in May, we also posted the road closure information from our Public Works Department, which is important because we're keeping that up to date on every hour on the hour.
Thank you, Nick. And actually a really good point on that one, besides just there are generally roads closed because of storm damage, but there are also roads closed by the sheriff's office because they're trying to prevent people from going back into the evacuation zone in Pajaro. So people up in North County will see signage that indicates roads ahead are closed, and many of the roads that people would use to get into Pajaro are now closed just to prevent people from going back in to the evacuation zone. Once that zone is lifted to a warning, well, then people will be able to go back in.
Yeah, and I also like to add, Maya, that
ahead,
our social media is being populated consistently throughout the day, and that's a very good way for the public to keep posted on what's going on throughout Monterey County. So we encourage you to check out our Facebook and or Instagram pages.
So I don't have any other questions, and please keep up to date on this emergency information. We know that you are, but stay up to date and stay aware. Our county staff is working 24 hours a day with safety, with your safety in mind. So that will wrap up our briefing for today. Thanks for dropping in for this short briefing. Our next briefing will be next week. We'll see you then.